Well, hello, friends. So nice of you to come to my classroom today for another great swivel lesson. Alrighty. So, hi. How are you? Good to see you over there. And you over there. So, we take a look at this. Look at this. We're moving the swivel. It's a decent beard. Decent. Alrighty, let's see over here. We are going to today hit those terms. Can we get over there? Woo! There we go. Yeah, we're hitting those terms. Largely, what today is a little bit of a review from World War I, with a bigger emphasis on how World War I affected us on the home front. Yo, Swivel, where are you going? Swivel, you're lost. It's a good thing Prohibition's coming because Swivel needs to be found. I'm over here, Swivel. Yo, right here. That's not where you need to be. Come on. Oh, look at that. I got something you want. It's right here. All right. Let's do this. Quick review. All right. Quick review here of our standards. Yesterday, oh, by the way, all this stuff, it's on ITSL. So if you need to take a look at it, it's there. Waiting for you and your viewing pleasure. Eventually, you'll start to see pictures. The iris will engage. But like I said, we've already hit neutrality and what caused us to go from neutrality to engagement. We've talked about our unrestricted submarine warfare. And again, largely today, we're talking about the domestic impact of World War I. We've already hit the Great Migration here. We'll talk the Espionage Act. We'll talk about DEBS. Again, we'll talk Woody's 14 points and the League of Nations. We'll also talk about this rising communism and socialism in the country. We've seen that coming for some time, especially when we look at those electoral maps. I want a picture on me. And how that'll lead us to a Red Scare with some immigration restrictions. That's what we're hitting today. So let's roll. All right, there he is. We talked about Woody and his first term issues. The things that make him a progressive include the Clayton Antitrust Act. Remember, the Clayton Antitrust Act is just like the Sherman Antitrust Act. It prohibits contracts, combinations, and conspiracy in restraint of trade. This is just the new 1900s version of that 1870s relic. We created the FTC. The FTC is going to try to break up monopolies so that the little guy can compete in an open market. We're going to ban child labor, and we are going to get direct election of the Senate through the 17th Amendment. All right. The rest of the stuff we've already hit. Let's roll. We start here with the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. Yeah, Franz Ferdinand, he got gone. He gone. And so World War I starts. Wonder if we can get something nice. Come on, man. Anyway, we talked about how all the different countries were either in aid or had signed a treaty or an alliance with either Serbia or Bulgaria, and because these insignificant regions of the Balkans kind of got a little nutty, that's going to pull everybody from the Ottoman Empire, Germany, Austria-Hungary, Italy, Russia, France, and Britain all into World War I. All right. What you have to remember, the Triple Entente. The Triple Entente is Russia, it's France, it's Britain. The Triple Alliance, Italy, Austria-Hungary, Germany. Yes, there's more involved in that, but those are your big players. All right. We've taken a look at the map of Europe at war here and run through all that stuff. We also talked about how when war broke out, Woody took on that model of neutrality. It fits in well with what we've done in the past. Going all the way back to Dubs. I'm going to sit over here. Yeah. Dubs, remember, Dubs said that, I'm over here. Hey, Swivel, thank you. Dubs said that, we shouldn't get involved in European affairs, and so for a long time we didn't. After that, we had the Monroe Doctrine that said, hey, if we stay over here, Europe will stay over here. And then we had that steroid shot that was the Roosevelt corollary that beefed up the Monroe Doctrine, saying not only will we continue to rule supreme in the Western Hemisphere, but we are also going to police the Western Hemisphere. Oh, and by the way, the Western Hemisphere also includes the Pacific. All right. And so neutrality, everybody liked it. The economy liked neutrality because we can continue to trade with everybody. Immigrants liked neutrality. I don't know why it wants to go over there. I'm over here. Don't run away. Thank you. Immigrants like neutrality. It kept them from getting into that weird, awkward spot of who do we back up. The farmers like neutrality. They're guaranteed to sell out. The progressives can keep the focus on making changes here domestically. And then the socialists, well, mostly it's the immigrants, and if it's not immigrants, it's a bunch of hippies, and they don't want to go to war anyway. All right. 1916, we had Woody versus Charles Evans Hughes. Remember, what was Woody's campaign slogan? Yep, that's right. Vote for Wilson, who kept you out of the war. Okay. The American public, they responded. Can we see how they responded? Come on, Iris, catch up. Anyway, there's a map there. I don't know why we can't see it. Yeah, whatever. Yep, and so we get that going there, and Wilson gets reelected. Okay, we talked about entry. I'm over here. All right, we talk about entry into the war itself, and we cited two big causes. Come on, I'm over here. I'm just gonna set this right here. Hello, friends. Two big reasons. One is Germany's unrestricted submarine warfare. Remember, they violated the Sussex Pledge. They said they would not attack any country that was not a belligerent nation, meaning at war. And then they did when they torpedoed what? Yes, the Lusitania. Why'd they go after a passenger ship, a cruise ship, if you will? Yep, we had a whole bunch of weapons on it. So we've got that. What was the other cause that got us into war? Good. That Zimmerman telegraph, which, we can see right here, maybe. Nope. Zimmerman telegraph between who? Germany and Mexico. Yep. If Mexico would join the war on the Triple Alliance side, and once the war was over and the Triple Alliance won, then Germany would get parts of the Southwest United States that they lost in the Mexican War. All right. No, that never made it to Mexico. And when those two things hit the American media, American public is crying to go to war. All right. Hey, look at that. Now we're starting to get some pictures popping up. Good. All right. Selective Service Act. Congress responded to the Selective Service Act in 1917. As it says, they're pulling both men and women. No, women aren't on the front lines. But it is pulling both men and women into service. Okay. And we talked about strategy. We talked about how this is an absolutely devastating war. You've got new weapons, but some archaic strategy. Still got that whole line them up and shoot them across the field, except for now we've got submachine guns, we've got submarines, we've got airplanes, we've even got some rudimentary tanks, and that's going to cause some significant issues in terms of fighting the way that we've grown accustomed. All right, and that's going to all result in that trench warfare. All right. We talked about with that good grief. I don't know. Sometimes I get lost in here. Back over here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. We talked about how the Selective Service Act of 1917 pulled a tremendous amount of people out of the industrialized North. And so how are we going to keep industry alive? Yep, the Great Migration. All right, we keep the Great Migration alive. That is African Americans, Exodus style, leaving the South for northern industrialized cities. The big ones: Chicago, Detroit, Cleveland, New York. These destination cities to get those jobs and to keep industry alive and well and running. Remember, we also talked about how this is going to be a big point for development in terms of civil rights relations when people in the North can begin to challenge those notions that had been kind of crafted under the Jim Crow era and now in the Plessy versus Ferguson. We'll see that because of what blacks were able to do after this Great Migration, we'll see a lot of changing norms and values in regards to race relations. It's going to take its time. It's going to be slow, and it's going to be painful. But we kind of can see this as a starting point. All right? We talked about the NAACP. Who created the NAACP? That guy. Right there. Does the red dot show up? No? Oh, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Webb, he's one of the key architects of it. Created in 1909. Yeah, even though we've got that 15th Amendment, which is allowing for African American males to vote, there's still not equal treatment. And so that's what the NAACP largely was working for. Anybody remember one of the first big major successes of the NAACP? Yeah, outlawing lynching. All right, and that'll be big. That'll be big, especially psychologically, because of fear. And we've talked about how fear is used to control large groups of people. All right. Now, this is where we get into the new stuff. All right. This is all new and fresh and awesome. Let's not walk away from the board now that we're starting to pick things up here. All right. Cool. So, those not in war, the people that aren't going to the front lines, are expected to contribute. Okay? What I want you guys to understand is that the United States isn't really noted for helping win any major battles, at least none that we're concerned of today. More what where our value is going to come from is the resources that we were able to contribute. All right. And so, like I said, those expected or not in war were expected to contribute a couple different ways. You could contribute. You could contribute by buying Liberty bonds. Okay. By buying Liberty bonds. We've talked about bonds in here. The only difference between a regular bond and a Liberty bond is patriotism. All right. That's all it is. You can see right here, your forefathers died for liberty. In 1776, they want to know what you'll do in 1917, all right? And that's to buy Liberty bonds. The other thing that you're kind of expected to do is to plant a victory garden, okay? You got to plant a victory garden. It really is about rationing. That's what it's about here. If you will plant a garden in your backyard that you can nourish your family off of, then the major farmers can send a lot of those crops to the front lines for us to win. Remind me, who are we? Which group did we join in with? Correct, the Triple Entente. All right. Yeah. I like how this microphone sits right here. You can hear the water gurgle through my esophagus and into my stomach. And, it's a geointestinal fun zone. Moving on. Yeah, so we've hit that stuff. And that's going to be our Liberty Bonds and Victory Gardens. Not only are we supposed to plant Liberty Bonds, you can't plant, you could, nothing would come. Buy Liberty Bonds and plant Victory Gardens. Herbert Hoover here, I believe he was like Secretary of the Interior, Secretary of Commerce. He is encouraging people to Hooverize their daily life ration. All right, Herbert Hoover, the alliterative Herbert Hoover, wanted us to participate in Meatless Mondays. Meatless Mondays and Wheatless Wednesdays. Why Wheatless Wednesdays? Yeah, because if we don't eat meat for a day and we don't eat wheat for another day, that's a tremendous amount of food that we can send to the front line to help our boy. All right. Congress is also going to get in the spirit of Hooverizing and pass the Daylight Savings Bill. Okay, they're going to pass the Daylight Savings Bill, as it says right here. Get your hoe ready. Hose! We're talking about garden tools. Okay, get them ready because we are going to be doing a lot of time changing. Hey, come on over here. Come with me. Stay with me. All right, thank you. Why would we manipulate our clocks? Yeah. That's the, what is that? Fall back, spring forward, or something like that. I'm over here. Come on. There we go. Really what it's for, what it's all about is fuel. Yeah, it's about fuel. If we can conserve all that stuff over here, then we can make sure. Good grief, it's over here. I have what you want, Swivel. It's here. All right. I feel like that meme. Like the swivel wants to look at whatever that is over here. I'm here. Focus on me. Thank you. Yep. So, if we can manipulate our clocks with the tilt of the earth and maximize sunlight, then we don't have to turn the lights on, and that saves energy, that saves fuel that we can send to the front line for the tanks, for the boats, for the subs, for the planes, so that we can win the war effort. All right. Now, here's the big deal. All right. Yeah, here's the big deal. I feel like there's 100 big deals. You're a big deal. All right. We joined with the Triple Entente. Okay, we joined with the Triple Entente. England, France, Russia. Most of our immigrants, though, are coming from Russia, and that's okay. But Austria-Hungary and Italy. Okay? And so now we're at that awkward point. It puts the immigrants in that weird situation, trying to figure out who do they back up? You know, their home country, which they loved but fled from, or their new country, which is playing the role of host. Okay? Fear's a powerful it's a powerful phenomenon, and the country gets gripped in it. We start to kind of fear those immigrants that are from the more leftist countries, and so Congress is going to respond by passing the Espionage and Sedition Acts. Okay. Now, we've seen something similar to this before. Okay. If we think back all the way back to John Adams. We saw the Alien and Sedition Acts. I'm just going to walk all the way around the room. Yeah, nobody's here. Hi. It's almost like I'm sitting in somebody's lap in, what is it, 7th period right now? Yep. Hi, fish brains. If you'll rub my feet, that'd be great. Anyway, stop being weird and just teach. We've had the Alien and Sedition Acts, remember, and that was deemed unconstitutional, even though it never went to the Supreme Court. But it was unconstitutional, at least the sedition part. All right. Now in World War I, we're going to pass the Espionage and Sedition Act. The Espionage and Sedition Act says, number one, you can't spy on our government. The sedition part says no talking or writing critically about government. You're right. That is a violation of your First Amendment right. right? But Congress doesn't care. We're gripped by fear at this point, and so they're trying anything they can. There was people who were against specifically the Sedition Act, and largely one of the big ones was this guy Shank. Okay, Shank was a college professor, and Shank saw this as absurd. He said, "Yo, look, per Dubs, per Monroe Doc, per Roosevelt Corollary, we should not be involved in this war." All right. He says that it's foolish and it's a bad idea for us to get in this war. And by saying all these hypercritical things about the federal government, he's in violation of the Sedition Act. Gets arrested. Okay, gets arrested. This thing goes through a court of law, makes its way all the way up to the Supreme Court. All right, all the way up to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court rules in Shank v. U.S. Where are you going? I'm here. Hey. Yep. Shank v. U.S. says in times of imminent danger. In times of imminent danger, your rights can be suspended. Yes, in times of imminent danger, your rights can be suspended. What's up, JC? Yeah. Are we in times of imminent danger right now? I'm telling you, Swivel, you're going to be in a time of imminent danger. You keep looking away from me. I've got what you're supposed to focus on. Focus on me. All right. Yeah, like I was saying, are we in times of imminent danger right now? Yes, and we have been since 2011. Do yourself a little research. Look up the Patriot Act. Look up the American Freedom Act. Yeah, it's freaky, man. If it doesn't piss you off, then, don't ever try to Facebook friend me. Because, well, you're a tool. Anyway, moving on. Now, Shank v. U.S., like I said, in times of imminent danger, your rights can be suspended. What also we're going to see in all of this fear is the General Intelligence Division. Okay? The General Intelligence Division is going to be created. The General Intelligence Division is the precursor to the FBI, the Federal Bureau of Investigation. All right? And what the General Intelligence Division was doing was going after people that they saw as subversives. Okay? As subversives. Now, we take a look at the board here. Hopefully. We can get some of it. Well, that's good enough. Over here, I'll just tell you what we're looking at. Right here, we've got a group of immigrants, a sweet little immigrant family. Why are these people seen as subversive? Yeah, because they are probably, especially at this time, coming from Southeastern Europe and coming with this leftist ideology. Okay, leftist ideology. By the way, this circle that's drawn on the board on this is the bubble that we function in this country. All right, this whole thing is the political spectrum. It's not a complete spectrum, but it's what we need to deal with for right now. This is where we vacillate from, depending on who's in leadership roles in this country. We vacillate here. There's the whole spectrum. Southwest Europe is coming, left of our bubble. And so, because we're scared of our immigrants, they're coming from triple alliance nations. They are seen as subversives and under the watchful eyes of the General Intelligence Division. This guy, Debs. Why is Debs? Eugene V. Debs. Why is he seen as a subversive? Yep, he is the token socialist leader. All right. Remember, every single election the Socialist Party's in, he's their guy. All right, communists. All right, communists are evil, wicked, and nasty. And if you forget, you can just come right on over here and you can check out this. Boom, communism, evil, wicked, nasty, all day, every day, all the time. All right, and so we've got a watchful eye on our communists, as well as this group right here. A lot of people look at this, they're holding picket signs, they're protesting, they're on strike. All right, and so strikers, labor unions are being seen as subversive, and all these groups are under the watchful eye of the General Intelligence Division. All right. Are their rights being tread on? Yes. And that's okay because Shank says what? Your rights can be suspended in times of imminent danger. All right. So we've got all that stuff going on. The war is going to come to a halt November 11th. Okay. November 11th, 1918, the Great War ends when Germany surrenders. Wilson's playing for peace. He gets this thing together, and really what it's known as is the 14 points. All right, he's got the 14 points. And again, like I said, that's his plan for peace when he goes to Versailles for the treaty. Wilson makes a bit of a blunder, though, here. Okay, it's 1918. It's a midterm election. What's up for grabs in a midterm? Third of the Senate. All the House. That's right. And Woody campaigns extensively for Democrats. Republicans get control of both houses. Right? They get control of both houses. And so Woody's going to Versailles to try to push for a treaty, these 14 points here. And he's got to bring it back to a Congress and get 2/3 of Congress to agree to it. And he just campaigned against him and probably said some not nice things. Okay. So we take a look at this thing. Woody's 14 points. It's not showing up for you on the video. But again, this stuff's on it, so you can always look at it. It's fun. The 14 points, and what I've got here is a real brief overview of what it is. Points 1 through 5, the first one is open diplomacy. It says, closed diplomacy, closed door diplomacy is what got us into this mess. We need to change that. That's number 1. Number 2, freedom of the seas. Why is he calling for freedom of the seas? Yeah, because Germany was terrorizing everybody with those U-boats. 3, he wants open trade. 4, reduction of weapons. 5, an adjustment of colonies in China and Africa. All right, so those are your big 5. 6 through 13 is self-determination. Really, it's all about sovereignty. It's all about sovereignty in the areas that no longer exist. Austria-Hungary no longer exists. The Balkans have to get carved up again. Germany is gonna shrink in size because they expanded tremendously. And so who has the right to govern in those areas is 6 through 13. Woody puts a tremendous amount of emphasis on the 14th point, and for you, the 14th point is the most important one. Woody here wants an international organization to prevent war. He doesn't want to prevent peace, he wants peace. To prevent war from ever happening. He wants to create this League of Nations. Okay? The whole idea behind the League of Nations is that if 2 countries ever have beef with each other again, then they can all go to the League of Nations and hash out all their differences, and everybody feels good about themselves at the end of the day. Why is Swivel going all over the place? That's good right there. We can see Woody, we can see me, you can see the terms. Life's groovy, stay there, Swivel. Thank you. But yeah, so let's say me and you have a problem, and instead of going to war, we go and we talk amongst everybody in this League of Nations, and we settle our grievances and then lock arms with each other, sway back and forth and sing Kumbaya. That's Woody's idea. That's what he wants. Woody really largely wanted what he called peace without victory. He didn't want really to have land annex. He didn't want countries to have to pay any war reparations. That's payment for losing. And I mean, it makes sense. We weren't in the war for very long, but Europe doesn't like this at all. Okay, they don't like it at all. And so largely points 1 through 13, they ball up and throw in the trash. The only thing that they do like is that 14th point, the League of Nations. Okay. So, we've got the League, in the Treaty of Versailles. Overall, though, the Treaty of Versailles, yeah, for sure, reparations were paid, land was annexed, and really, the Treaty of Versailles sets the groundwork for World War II. In a sense, they tried to make Italy and Germany second-tier countries, prevent them from ever taking up arms again, put them in so much debt that they're forever going to be indebted to the rest of Europe. They really created some serious issues that we're going to see, build up and manifest themselves in World War II. All right. But for Woody here domestically at home, Woody's got to come back and get Congress to buy into this. Congress is not going to like this League of Nations stuff. And the reason why they don't like the League is because the League of Nations takes power away from Congress. Remember, who has the power to declare war? Congress. The president has the power to make war. Congress declares war. And if we sign into this League of Nations, can we declare war? Nope. All right. And so Congress sees this as taking power away from themselves. And that's not something really that this country is super interested in doing. All right. Not interested at all. All right. So, Wilson, he's got some real issues trying to get this thing passed, and it's going to be tough. Wilson realizes he's got to take action. He's got to take action here. 1919, Wilson's going to start testifying at different committees. He's going to meet with senators to try to convince them that this is a good treaty. He even makes a nationwide sweep to try to convince the people to say, hey, this is a good thing. And tries to get everybody on board. Say, hey, listen to what I have to say, and then call up your senators and tell them, we the people want you, who we now elect, to vote in favor of the League of Nations. All right, Swivel, you're doing a great job, by the way. I like this picture. This is solid. Let's keep this. And so it really demonstrated his sincerity. Wilson's sincerity. His doctor told him he shouldn't go. He had some pretty serious, Swivel, come on, I'm not moving. You just want me in the center. That's all good. I like you too. What was I talking about? Yeah, demonstrated his sincerity because he had overall poor health. And what we're going to see is Wilson is going to travel 8,000 miles, give 30 speeches. Overall, the people accepted him. Let's go this way. Whew, come on, all the way back to the map. Overall, the people accepted him and his points of view. And again, this is a nationwide sweep. He makes it all the way out to Pueblo, Colorado. He's given a speech in Pueblo. I want to say it was the end of September. Once I get up there, I'll confirm that. Given a speech in the middle of Pueblo, and then all of a sudden just bloop, passes out. Okay. His doctor, Woody's doctor, is going to say, you can't continue this on. Yeah, it was September 25th, by the way. Called off the tour, and it's probably a good thing because October 2nd, Wilson had a massive stroke. Okay, he had a massive stroke. He'd be okay. He'd live, but he's broken at this point. Senate Foreign Relations Committee is going to refute a lot of the things Wilson said, and on March 19th, 1920, the Senate voted 49-35 to ratify the treaty. 49-35. Is that 2/3? Nope. Which means we accept that the Treaty of Versailles ends the war, but we do not join the League of Nations. All right? So, something that it was our idea, we created, we do not join. Okay? So there. We take a look at Woody. All right? We take a look at Woody and his post-war issues. All right? Post-war issues, largely a turbulent economy. We've got some labor unrest and a lot of Bolshevism. I love saying Bolshevism. That's Bolshevik. You know what, Swivel, you stick with me, all right? Thank you. All right. Yeah. And so what I want, oh my gosh, fine. Go look over there. There's nothing going on over there, Swivel. All right. So what I want you guys to understand is that short wars we talked about, yeah, they boost economies. But after war, we always have a bit of, I guess I have to stand up. Maybe that's what the deal is. Oh, hi. What's that? After war, we always have a decent amount of inflation. That's normal. And after World War I, we're going to have something like 105% inflation. The cost of living, that basically means the cost of living increases 105%. Now, that's going to lead to some major economic problems. What I mean is business is going to struggle through this little downturn. And really, it's just a correction. It's a correction because we were supposed to. The last time we had an economic downturn was 1893, which means we should have had one around 1913. But short wars boost economies. And so really we see this as a bit of, yes, we expect a little post-war inflation, but it's also a market correction because where we should have gone down, we hit this huge bubble, and it's called a market correction. All right? So, in 1919 alone, all right, because of the economic turmoil, we're going to see over 2,600 strikes. That's 2,600 strikes in the U.S., all right? And we got some real doozies for strikes. One is we're going to have a massive steel strike, okay? Massive steel strike. Overall, the steel industry stood against not only just strikes, but labor unions in general. All right. Because of that, in 1918, the American Federation of Labor decided that they were going to go directly after the steel industry. Who's the daddy of the AFL? Yeah, little Sammy Gompers. And just so you can kind of understand the growth with the AFL, around 1900, they had just under 500,000 members. By 1914 here, they have well over 2 million. Okay, well over 2 million members. In 1919, 100,000 steel workers for the company U.S. Steel go on strike. Okay, that was in 1919 in August. The U.S. Steel refused to negotiate with the labor unions. The union for the employees at U.S. Steel wanted union recognition, an 8-hour workday, and an American living wage. So you see, that's pretty normal for what unions want. But U.S. Steel refused to negotiate. In September, they go on strike. 300,000 U.S. steel workers go on strike. A couple of days later, Bethlehem Steel goes on strike. Really what we have here is the two largest steel companies go on strike. And that's a big deal. U.S. Steel's bent. They're pissed. And violence is going to break out. We're going to have something like 18 people die. State and federal troops are going to be sent in to go against the strikers. And U.S. Steel is going to start a propaganda campaign. They're going to come out, and if we take a look at this picture here, they're going to come out. I know you can't see it. It's on Itzel. I already told you that. They're going to come out and they're going to say that all the steel strikers are going on strike because they're communist. Okay? Because they're communist. And if U.S. Steel says that the people going on strike is communist, they got to be right. I mean, U.S. Steel's, the biggest thing going, at least in the steel industry. And so what we start to see is this idea that labor unions and people that go on strike do it because they're communist, right? And it all starts off right here with labor. Okay, labor goes down these scary set of stairs here, where it starts with strikes and walkouts, and that leads to disorder and riots and murders and Bolshevism. That's right, that's Bolshevik. And then it leads to chaos, and who knows what happens after that. We could lose the country to the Bolsheviks. All right. A bunch of fear tactics, a bunch of propaganda stuff going on, but it works. Now, let's talk about another big strike. This one's fun. The Boston Police. Yep, I said it. The Boston Police. Boston Police. Officials wanted higher salaries. They weren't getting anything, man. They're getting something like $1,200 a year, all right, to be cops. And largely the city didn't care, okay? What we're going to see is some officials with the Boston Police Department are going to start a social club. This social club then asks for a charter from the AFL. So really this social club, what are they really trying to create? Yeah, a labor union. All right. Now, law said police groups could not join outside groups, and so because the Boston Police tried to join in with an outside group, i.e. the AFL, 19 members of the Boston Police Force were let go. Okay? They're dismissed because of their association with the union. All right? Boston police are furious. Okay? And so September 9th, 1919, the Boston police went on strike. Okay? September 9th, they go on strike. And it wasn't just like, hey, we just walk out. It was published. We see in this newspaper headline, police vote to strike tonight. Walk out at 5:45 p.m. roll call. Yeah, 5:45 p.m. 9/19/1919. Chaos. Okay, chaos. In the first 15 minutes, shops are looted. 3 people end up dead. Cops are walking down the street not doing anything about it because, well, they're on strike. Just absolute mayhem. Absolute mayhem. And crime and chaos and disorder, and it's just no good. It got so bad that even Harvard students, came together to form vigilante groups. I mean, you got to think about that. You got nerds, man, nerds walking around, with their slide rules and their protractors and their little pencil pocket protectors, and I see you. You're breaking the law. I'm going to write you up. You take that. All right, get out of here, nerd. I'll break you. But that's what's happening because the police have gone. Okay. The police are gone. Wilson, Woody, called it a crime against civilization. Gompers, the leader of the unions, even Gompers says, you guys need to go back to work. And it gets bad. But this is what's happening. Okay, this is what's happening, and everybody is being convinced that these people are communists. They're Bolshevik. Okay. A wave of fear is capturing the nation. Okay, we got a little bit of time left. Capturing the nation. And really, it's this what we call the first Red Scare. All right. First Red Scare. And what is the symbolism of red? Communism. Okay. Now, this first Red Scare really starts with a series of bombings. 1919, remember, the year of all the strikes. Shipyard workers in Seattle went on strike. Shipyard workers are the people who load and unload ships. They wanted a shorter day and better pay. They go on strike in January. By February, all of Seattle's industry goes on strike in solidarity. What is solidarity? It's unity. I go on strike and you're going to go on strike because we're brothers, brother. And so that's really what we kind of see play out. It's like all of a sudden I lost my head. That's fun. This is what happens when I teach to an empty classroom. All right, it's just me and my thoughts, and things get weird, man. They get weird. Anyway, let's talk about bombing places. Okay, Mayor of Seattle. The mayor of Seattle believed that the strikers were all communist. He announced it publicly. April 28th, the mayor of Seattle receives a bomb package on his front door. Doesn't blow up, but it freaks him out. That was April 28th. April 29th, Thomas Hardwick. Hardwick is the chair of the Senate Immigration Committee. He is the guy in the Senate who deals with immigration. Okay. He gets a knock on the front door of his house. He sends the maid to the front door. The maid goes over, opens the door, says, "Oh, look, there's a package." Comes down, picks up the package. Boom! Hands blow off. Okay. Bomb shut up on his front doorstep. All right. The maid, she got fired. Okay, she got fired. You can't have a maid with no hands. That's not useful. I may have made that up. Anyway, but yeah, so we've got bombs all over the place. 16 similar bombs were found in New York City post office. 18 other bombs were found in various post offices across the country. We have a real problem. All right. June 19th, a bomb appeared at A. Mitchell Palmer's house. A. Mitchell Palmer is the U.S. Attorney General. All right. It blew off his front porch right here. Blew off his front porch. The carrier, the guy who brought the bomb, when he set it, he blew himself up. Okay. Now, when they identified the remains, he was an Italian anarchist, which means he's over here, way far left on our spectrum, and he's from Italy. Does that do anything positive for our feelings towards immigrants? No, it only reinforces that stuff. A. Mitchell Palmer wants to ride that wave of fear all the way to the White House. He is the one that wants Congress to pass strict laws that say you can't speak badly about the government. What laws are those? Yep, the Sedition laws. Where are we at? Espionage and Sedition Act. He's the one that gets money to form the General Intelligence Division. And remember, the GID becomes the FBI. And he's the one who gets J. Edgar Hoover to lead the FBI. All right, and J. Edgar Hoover, this dude's going to be leading the FBI forever. I think I got a book over here. Let's see here. There it is. Yeah. J. Edgar Hoover on communism. All right, let's see. I got some tabbed pages. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, minorities. You're communist. Public education is communist. Civil rights movement. Black power. That's communist. Yeah, everybody's communist, which means J. Edgar Hoover is quite literally, there it is, J. Edgar Hoover on communism. I can trim my beard. It's getting a little wild. Anyway, there we go. Yeah, they're investigating everybody. All right, they're quite literally investigating everybody. But A. Mitchell Palmer, he wants to ride that wave all the way to the White House. Palmer, being the Attorney General, the country's lawyer, he is going to get a ship, and that's what we're looking at here, the Buford, and he's going to round up something like 250 suspected communists and send them off. Well, he says he sends them off to Russia. He actually sends them to Finland, which is that purple country way up there next to Russia. I got close enough. Now, Palmer is going to also, in 1920, get 3,000 arrest warrants for suspected communists. 3,000 arrest warrants. He detains over 4,000 people. Yeah, we got some serious civil liberties being violated, but it doesn't matter. Why? Yeah, because Shank v. U.S. here says in times of imminent danger, your rights can be suspended. All right? What he's doing is he's trying to ride that wave of fear all the way to the White House. So let's take a look at how it works for him. We can almost see pictures. It's not going to work though. In this election, you really have two things that you're voting on. Okay, the Democratic candidate James Cox. James Cox supports the League of Nations, and he supports alcohol. The Republican candidate, Warren G. Harding, is against alcohol and against the League of Nations. That's really what all of it boils down to. You do have Debs and the Socialists running. When Debs gets put on the ticket, though, he's actually in jail. What did he do? Yeah, sedition. He got nailed for sedition and got nominated while in jail. All right. Outcome of the election. I don't know if you guys can see it. It's like you can see it on my face. Oh yeah, that's a split country right there. Yeah. Harding wins. Harding wins pretty big. 76% of the electorate. You guys can go on it, so if you want to see the real map. But yeah, Harding wins, and Harding's in. All right. Harding really is a bit of a contrast. You can't even see him. I wonder if I pop my head in there. Can you see him? No. Harding is a contrast, especially to Wilson. Wilson left. He was broken. He was bent. He was ill. He looked terrible. Harding comes in. He's a pretty handsome guy for the time period. But Harding's a goof, man. He's a total goof. He's a continuation of that grantism. Remember that government corruption? It's on the 50-year cycle. He's guilty of it. He really, governs by cronyism. Where are we at here? The Ohio gang. Okay, the Ohio gang here. Were the people that he's going to bring from Ohio with him to the White House. Very few of them were competent. A lot of them got nailed for corruption. You've got his attorney general. You would expect the attorney general has a significant law degree? No. He goes with Harry Daugherty. It's his campaign manager. He's like his best friend from Ohio. All right. Albert Fall becomes Secretary of Interior. He ends up getting convicted of bribery. Charles Forbes was the director of Veterans Bureaus. He'd be convicted of fraud. A tremendous amount of money that was supposed to go to our vets. It disappeared. And so it fits with our 50-year cycle of government corruption where lots of money goes up and gone. All right. Other issues that Harding's got to deal with here is immigration. How do we feel about our immigrants? Yeah, we got a lot of fear concerning our immigrants, a lot of anti-immigration sentiment in the 1920s. Congress is going to respond to that anti-immigration sentiment by passing two laws. Okay, two laws. The first one is the Emergency Quota Act. Okay, and if you're looking at the pictures, this picture right here is representative of the Emergency Quota Act. What the Emergency Quota Act does is it restricts immigration based off a formula. All right, the formula is only going to allow in 3% of foreign-born from the 1910 census. All right, only 3% of foreign-born from the 1910 census. Last time we took a census was 1910, and so that's what we're using. We're only allowing 3%. So from your country in 1910, there were 100 people in this country. How many are we going to allow in? Correct. We're only going to allow in 3. All right. Now, that is going to significantly cut down on immigration. Okay. Going to significantly cut down on immigration. What we're going to see is immigration is going to immediately decline by 500,000. Our immigration drops from somewhere around 800,000 people a year down to 300,000 people a year. Okay. Now, while immigration is significantly, the amount of immigration is significantly lowered, it's not enough for some people. So in 1924, we passed the National Origins Act. Okay, the National Origins Act in 1924 changes the formula. Instead of 3% from the 1910 census, we do 2% from the 1890 census. All right, that changing the year of the census makes a big deal. Okay, because if you think back to those pie charts that we looked at, last semester, in 1890, most of our immigration came from England, Ireland, and Germany. It's right at 1890 that it shifts from north. Actually, I'll do it this way so it makes sense for you. I think it works this way. North Come on, say the word, people. Northwestern Europe to southeastern Europe. All right, and if we take a look at this map here, really what it's doing is it's promoting immigration from England, Ireland, and Germany. All right, with this National Origins Act, again, not only does it favor immigration from England, Ireland, Germany, it also absolutely prohibits Asian immigration. Okay. By 1927, immigration reduced down to about 150,000 people a year, and that downward trend would continue into the 1930s. By 1932, more foreigners left the country than came in. All right, and for the entire decade of the 30s, we only had about 68,000 immigrants come to the country. Now, there's two factors at play here. One is this National Origins Act. What's the other one that's going to keep people from wanting to come to the United States in the 1930s? Yeah, Great Depression. Okay, Great Depression. This is not a land of opportunity in the 1930s. It's tough. It's really tough. And so that's going to help significantly limit our immigration. All right. So we're limiting the amount of immigrants that we're allowing in. What about the immigrants that are already here? Okay. The immigrants that are already here don't have it much better. All right. Our example here, Nicola Sacco and Bartholomew Vanzetti. All right. Sacco and Vanzetti. Sacco and Vanzetti, immigrants from Italy, and they are self-proclaimed anarchists. Now, one thing I want you guys to understand, anarchy. Okay, most people, you say anarchy, like, yeah, let's throw Molotov cocktails to the police precinct. Yeah, rage. No, it's not rage. Okay, anarchy, true anarchy is pure communism. It's people get along so well together that there's no necessity for government. That's anarchy. Okay, that there's no need for government. Yeah, it's a beautiful thought, but it doesn't work in the human experiment. It hasn't worked. There you go. Now, Sacco and Vanzetti, in 1920, there was a double murder. A paymaster and his guard were both murdered. So you guys can understand what a paymaster and a guard. You guys know the Brinks trucks? Go around, pick money up, move it around. Yep. That essentially, a double murder. The driver of the Brinks truck, it's not Brinks, and his guard were murdered. Okay. On May 5th of 1920, Sacco and Vanzetti were arrested. Okay, because they fit the description. Okay, the description was a tall, slender, clean-shaven Italian man and a short, stocky, mustachioed Italian man. They could have been talking about Mario and Luigi with those, and they see these two guys, they pick them up and arrest them May 5th. Okay. Sacco was arrested. He was at the Italian consulate. Vanzetti was selling fish at a fish market. Yep, can't trust a fish salesman. It's fishy. Stop. Both guys had weapons on them. Both lied to interrogators. A lot of people go, oh, well, they shouldn't have lied. They shouldn't have had weapons. Yeah, okay. You try living in a country that's treating people all kinds of crazy, and you're not going to have a weapon on you. And when somebody says, hey, you, lies, you know, it happens. It happens. Both go to trial, 1921. In this country, you get a trial by jury, yes, but the jury is made up of your peers. When these two go to trial, there are no Italian jurors, and a lot of people thought that they were already prejudged. It's because the judge there was a guy named Webster Thayer. Thayer hated immigrants. He was outspoken against radicals. He allowed bias in his courtroom. In fact, he wouldn't even call Sacco and Vanzetti. He called them those anarchist bastards. Yeah, that's what he said. It's not me talking. It's Thayer. He's a jerk. Anybody who could give an alibi for Sacco and Vanzetti saying, yeah, no, they weren't there at this time or this place, they were here, they were not allowed to testify. Anybody who could identify the two saying, yep, that's a tall, slender Italian guy and that's a short, stocky Italian guy, they were allowed to testify. All right? investigators came out and said a gun like Sacco's was used, but through forensic, it was not Sacco's gun. That was thrown out of court. Okay? That was thrown out of court. The trial lasted from May to July. Both were convicted. Both were sentenced to death. Okay? This trial is going to generate a tremendous amount of international interest. Now, this happened in Boston, in Massachusetts. You think, oh man, these guys are screwed, but we have an appeal system in this country. At the time, Massachusetts appellate law said that all appeals go to the judge who originally presided over the case. So through all appeals, Webster Thayer is going to be the judge. All right. Thayer denied their first appeal and then denied again. Somebody actually came out and said, yo, I killed the paymaster and his guard. Here's the gun that I did it with. Somebody came out and said it. It was an American dude. Webster Thayer still denied another appeals from Sacco and Vanzetti. August 27, the execution was carried out. International outrage. Okay, international outrage. Riots in the streets of Paris. 20 people in Paris are dead because we executed 2 Italian people in America. People in London marched on the U.S. Embassy. American flags in Casablanca are burning. It's bad news bears. Okay? In 1983, the year I was born, okay, new tests were done on Sacco's guns. Okay? At the scene of the crime, or in the bodies, I should say, there were 3 bullets in the 2 guys. 3 bullets, 2 guys. 1 bullet was found in the curb. Okay? So 4 bullets were found at the scene of the crime. 1 of the 4 bullets came from Sacco's gun. Guess which one? The one in the curb. Which means that they were framed. Okay, they were framed. There would be 2 positive results out of the Sacco and Vanzetti saga. Number 1, appeals laws were changed in Massachusetts. So if you find yourself on the wrong end of the law in Massachusetts and you are innocent, your appeals process will go through a different judge. The second positive, in 1932, Webster Thayer, that judge for these guys, his house was bombed. I don't know if that's positive, but I kind of like it. But anyway, so we can see how the war is going to create this fear of immigrants from a certain region of the country, and how it's all going to play out. When we get back, we are going to start really hitting what made the Roaring 20s roar. All right. We'll talk more about domestic stuff. We'll talk about women. We'll talk about African Americans. We'll talk music. We'll talk pop culture. We'll get into some fun, groovy stuff. But we'll save that for the next time we see each other. Thank you so much for watching. For all my fans out there in YouTube Nation, go ahead, throw me a like, throw me a comment. If you're watching this and this is the very first one of these that you've seen, comment, like, subscribe, make me YouTube famous. Much love, and I'm out.